Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new then welcome. My name's Christina, and on my channel we talk all things beauty from my own experiences. So before you go, make sure to subscribe to my channel, like this video, and leave any comments that you have for me down below. I know that I'm sounding very congested. I've been sick all week, but I'm finally feeling good enough to film this video. We're gonna be swatching and talking all about the brand new Merit Signature lips. This is going to be the matte formulation. They did originally come out with Signature Satin lipsticks, and now they're coming out with matte lipsticks, and I am so excited. I love the satin lipstick line. I think that the shades they came out with are beautiful, very on brand for Merit. So we'll see what these mattes are like. I haven't seen too much buzz about them, and I really wanted to swatch all the shades for you guys so we could see what it looks like on my medium skin tone. As always, let's go over the specs. These retail for $26. You can purchase them on Merit's website as well as Sephora. That's where I bought mine. It comes in 8 different shades. It says that these are a lightweight soft matte lipstick that has a non-drying formula for a buildable color that feels like nothing on the lips. Love that. Their highlighted ingredients are hyaluronic acid and sesame seed extract for smooth and conditioning the lips and locking in moisture. I have all of the shades right here. I have them lined up from like lightest to darkest, or how they have it in their graphics where it's like swatched. This is what the unit looks like. Incredible. It looks exactly like the satin lipsticks that they originally came out with, but the only difference is the color. This one is more of a dark grayish black shade, like when it comes to the frosted outside of it. And then we have the bullet right here, and of course we have the Merit logo right there. This is one of the satin lipsticks, and then this is one of the matte lipsticks. As you can see, very different, so you can easily tell the difference between the two whenever you have them stored away in a drawer, in your vanity, in your makeup collection, you know. I think that even standing up like this, or if you have them down like I do in my lipstick trays, you can see like the logo right there, and there's something just so beautiful about this. I just love the way that this looks. You can kind of see the lipstick through it. It just looks so luxurious, and as it should, because $26 for a lipstick is not cheap. I do have a full dedicated video to the Merit Signature Satin lipsticks. I'll link in the description box down below for you guys so you can easily find that. I'm going to share my first impression like I always do, and then we'll go through the swatches, and then I will share my final thoughts on these lipsticks. So without further ado, let's get started. The shade that I'm most excited about, and the one that I saw in the lineup that I was like, I would definitely pick that up, that looks like an everyday shade to me, is the shade Court. It looks absolutely beautiful. It's actually a little bit more orangey than I thought it would be. It's giving me a very different vibe from what it looks like online, like their graphics and everything. I just love everything about Merit packaging. I'm not gonna lie. Not all of the products are my favorite. I definitely love some products more than others, but every single time the actual packaging is like A1. Like I mentioned, I have been sick the last week, so my lips have been so dry. I've been using my CeraVe healing ointment on it. I've been using a lip mask on it every single day. I've been trying to combat the dryness a lot because I knew that I was going to be filming this video, so hopefully this has helped. I'm not seeing any flaking or anything like that, so it should be fine. So I want to do a little hand swatch here so we can see what it looks like. Definitely high pigmentation. I did a couple swipes here so you could see the pigmentation. When I first applied it, I was like, oh, that looks like it's velvet. But when you really look at it, it looks a little bit more hydrating than something that is a matte velvet would be. Let me just see what it looks like compared to the satin lipstick. This is in the shade Cabo. So I just want to compare the finishes here. Oh, those colors actually look pretty similar too. As you can see side by side, you can definitely see a difference in formulation. The satin one is a lot more hydrating. It does seem a bit more sheer. I did go in with a couple of swipes, but I would say that it's about the same amount of swipes that I went in with the matte one. These seem to be a lot higher in pigmentation, and as you can tell, a lot drier, like a lot more matte than the satin one gives you. Honestly, I don't think there's a scent to them, but I'm also a little congested, so I can't really tell. If you guys have these and know that there's a scent, please leave it in the comments down below because I'm struggling with that currently. Oh, pretty creamy though, right off the bat. It glides on really nicely. These do kind of have like a duckbill type of shape, so it's not going to be the most precise when it comes to lining your lips with a lipstick, so keep that in mind. But again, Merit is more minimalist, so I think that the approach is kind of like you're going to put a little bit on and dab it on, or maybe like swipe it with your fingers. But this is what it looks like. Very high pigmentation, I will say. It didn't really drag on the lips at all. It smoothed right on there, and it feels really nice and buttery whenever you apply it. I think that it is a very true matte, but it doesn't feel drying. I definitely feel those hydrating ingredients in there. This is not the shade that I thought it was gonna be based on the image. I'll put the image that I'm referencing here, but this one looked like it was gonna be a little bit more pinky brown. The description of it though is a warm brick, so it makes sense in that regard. I would probably base it off of the swatches on the model's lips versus the swatches of just the lipsticks here. Doesn't feel like it's emphasizing those lip lines. It's not hiding them by any regard, but it's not sinking in, and it doesn't feel like it's sinking into those lip lines. So I have no complaints when it comes to the texture and the feel of these. I started coughing, so I had to drink some water, and there's definitely some transfer there. So it's definitely sitting how I imagined. It looks very matte, but it's not feeling drying, as they say. Feels really comfortable. We'll see. I will let you guys know in the description box as I update how it sits throughout the day and how it fades. It did leave a little bit of a stain here, if you guys are curious, but I think with a little bit more like wiping, it'll come right off. So next we have the shade Classic, and this one is just described as a neutral, and I think mine is broken because it won't scroll down any lower than this. Usually it's like underneath the bullet part, and it got squashed like in my tube. Hopefully it doesn't just like break off as I'm applying it. Oh, this is a pretty pink. We have a cool tone pink here. This shade is not bad, honestly. It seems pretty similar to my lip color. I wouldn't say it's like a My Lips But Better color, but the type of pink shade it is, like the undertone it has, is very similar to my natural lip color. So it's not very jarring as I'm seeing this on my face. It's a beautiful pink. I think that this would suit a lot of people. I don't think that it's gonna wash you out too much if you have a medium skin tone like I do. I actually feel like this is pretty wearable, especially if you were to wear it with a lip liner. I would say that this is more flattering than the Satin one called Baby. If you like pink tones, I feel like this is going to be a very beautiful everyday type of pink, a really no fuss type of pink that you could just slap on. I'm also not too worried about these staining my lips and affecting the swatches in this video because these are pretty high pigmentation. Next we have the shade Antibes. I think it's Antibes. I don't really know. I'm sorry. So this one is described as a soft peach shade. Oh wow, even though this is described as a soft peach, and typically peaches aren't really like my go-to everyday type of lip color, this one has a little bit more of a warmth to it, almost like a dirty peach look to it that makes it look a little bit more brown. So for me, I think that this looks more wearable than a typical peach would. I really like this. I don't feel like it washes me out. I think it adds a little bit of color, but it's not too much. Like, it feels like a very neutral shade on me, and I feel like alone as a matte color or with a gloss, it would be beautiful. Next is the shade Maison, which is described as a mauve shade. I've expressed this recently, and either I have kind of changed my opinion on mauves, or brands are coming out with mauves that have more of a range of undertones, but I have really been loving mauves on me. I used to feel like they really washed me out. I felt like they were too cool and almost like grayish on me, but this is another example of how I've been really loving mauves because this one actually looks so beautiful. I think it adds a little bit of color to the face, but without it being too punchy, without it being something that I feel like I have to do a full face of makeup with. I think that this is such a beautiful addition to the makeup without having to be like the center of attention. You know what I mean? And I think the fact that this is more of a toned down velvet matte look, it adds to this being a little bit more wearable throughout the day. So I really like this. I think this is a beautiful mauve shade. Next, we have the shade Sunday, which is described as a pink shade. This is definitely more of like a warm, hot pink. Not really something that I expected, honestly, from Merit, but I kind of like it. I think that it adds a little extra something without being too crazy over the top. I think that even though it is more of a hot pink, it does look a little bit more subtle because, again, that finish. And again, also, I think the warm undertone to it. Now we have the shade Vermillion, which is described as a warm red shade. You guys know when it comes to red shades and swatching them, I really like to kind of dab the product on and then blend it out with my fingertip just to see what kind of finish we can get, especially from someone like Merit where they do tout like more minimalist makeup. I almost feel like a diffused red lip is kind of what they intend, or at least something they consider their average wearer would do. So this is Vermillion. Just kind of blend it out onto the lips. We do still have a lot of pigmentation here, but you can see a little bit more of the outline of my natural lip color. This is definitely a warm red. I would not say it's a warm brick. It's more so a hot warm red shade. So let me go ahead and apply this full pigmentation so we can see what this looks like. Okay, here is Vermillion. Wow, this is a punchy red. This most definitely can be more of a statement red if you want to wear it full pigmentation. I love a good red lipstick when it is a matte finish like this because it just gives a little extra something. It looks more luxurious. It looks more sophisticated in my eyes. I will take a matte velvety red over a satiny red any day, or like a glossy red. Next we have Power, and this one is going to be the cool red. And same thing, I'm just going to apply a little bit and kind of diffuse it out just to see. I just love doing this with red tones. I think this formulation is ideal for doing something like this type of application, because one, it has very high pigmentation, and two, it does have those hydrating factors to it, so it's very, very easy to blend it out with your fingertip and still get even pigmentation throughout. So here is the shade Power, just diffused on the lips. I think it's beautiful. However, I kind of like Vermillion a little bit more when it comes to the way that it looks diffused. This one I feel like sort of washes me out because it is a cool tone. Now let's move on to full pigmentation on the lips. Okay, here is Power, a beautiful blue based red here. It's going to be your kind of traditional red lipstick. I think it applies really nicely. Again, you're not going to get as much of a precise application. A good way to get precise application with this is not to sit it flat on the lips, but kind of hold it at an angle so you almost draw the outlines here with that tip right there, that rounded tip, and it works really well. If reds are your cup of tea, this one is definitely a good one. And lastly, we have the shade Equestrian, which is described as a warm brown shade. And I think I want to do the same thing. I'm just going to do what I did with the reds, do a little bit and diffuse it out with my fingertips just to see what this kind of gives me before we go in with full pigmentation. I needed so little of that to cover like the full amount of my lips, but this is what it looks like diffused on the lips. Honestly, it does look a little bit like it's washing me out just because of that tone. I'm not a huge fan of what this looks like diffused, but let's see what it looks like full pigmentation on the lips. For me, as someone with a medium skin tone, this is giving me more of a 90s vibe. It's definitely, I wouldn't say vampy, but yeah, it just is giving you a little bit of a 90s grunge look. However, if you do have a deeper skin tone, I could see this being a beautiful, nudie, just natural lipstick color on you. I think that this is a really nice shade because it is so warm. For me, however, I do feel like I'm getting a little washed out, maybe in the summertime when I am a little bit more naturally tan and I do have a little bit more color to me. Maybe I won't think this shade looks as stark on me. Either way, it's beautiful. And again, really nice pigmentation, very velvety on the lips. All right, guys, so those were all of the swatches for the lipsticks. I will include some arm swatches so you guys can see the full collection. And just out of curiosity, I am going to be comparing some of the shades that I think are similar to their Satin formulation. So I just want to show you guys because I have a feeling that you guys are going to ask me like what it looks like side by side. So I'll try to include the ones that I own with the new matte lipsticks. So to go over my final thoughts, as I said, these are not going to be transfer proof. However, I can foresee these kind of fading really nicely throughout the day, mainly because we saw this staining power of them. I do feel like even the lighter shades did leave a little bit of a stain on the lips. Now, as far as feathering goes, I don't think that they will feather, mainly because they are more of that matte formulation. Even though they have those hydrating properties to them, I don't think it's enough to where we will see it feathering, especially if you have more mature skin and maybe you have like lines around your mouth. You may see a little bit of feathering here and there. I think that using a lip liner would really help to keep that from happening. But just keep that in mind. For me, I don't really think it's going to be too much of an issue. I think the shades they came out with are really beautiful. They gave us some pinks. They gave us some beautiful reds. I do feel like it's lacking a little bit in the pinky brown category, like the more middle tones, I would say. And I don't think we saw a berry this time around, which is very interesting. The closest we got was probably Maison, which is that mauve. I think that is a beautiful shade. I would take that over a berry, honestly. They do have the color sticker here on top so you can kind of see what color they are. I will say that they don't seem to match exactly. Like if you can see here, the sticker looks a little more pink than the actual lipstick, you know, but it is a good indication of like the general tone that the lipstick is. You're not going to get the pointiest bullet out of these, but again, you can kind of angle it to where you can basically draw a line with the lipstick. I think it's high enough pigmentation to where it's going to give you even coverage and it's not going to look splotchy on the lips. I don't think that they're drying when it comes to a matte lipstick. I would say overall these are quite hydrating. They give you a very nice like slip on the lips, but overall you can tell that it's supposed to be a matte lipstick. You know what I mean? I really enjoy these. $26 is not going to be the cheapest, I will say, but I think that if you like a good matte lipstick that's non-drying, that's gonna give you a little bit of hydration. I will say you can feel it on the lips, so it's not like a nothing type of feeling. But if you overall really like this type of formula, this is a pretty solid line. So I wanna compare really quickly the formulation to the Charlotte Tilbury Matte Revolution lipsticks that I recently tried to the Merit ones. This is the Merit and this is the Charlotte Tilbury. You can see a little bit more shine coming off of that lipstick, whereas this one definitely looks more like a velvet, and you can kind of tell with the ends of these, this almost diffuses a little bit more. Like you can see it's softer and it's a thinner layer, and when you actually apply it and have it on the lips, it feels a little bit thinner and more lightweight versus the Charlotte Tilbury ones. Same pigmentation, I will say, and you can get them to look the same on the lips. But if you want something a little bit more matte looking than the Charlotte Tilbury one with the same comfort feel, I think Merit would be a good option. All right, guys, those are all my thoughts on these lipsticks. Overall, I think it's a pretty good launch. Do you absolutely need it in your life? Maybe not if you're not like a huge matte lipstick fan, but if you are, I think it's a really good option, especially if you're looking for something that you can kind of wear more as an everyday but still get that matte look. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you found it helpful, and if you did, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more videos like this one, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!